Me llamo Kezia.
Me llamo Rina Tilaar.
Me llamo Monica Lateca.
Me llamo Flora.
Me llamo Natalie.
Me llamo Kanyes Mayo.
Early settlement. Before being discovered by the Europeans, Chile was inhabited by several tribes of Native Americans, including the Inca in the north and Araucanian tribes in the south. In 1520, Ferdinand Magellan was the first European to see Chile. In 1540, Pedro de Valdivia, a Spanish conquistador, came to Chile, where he founded several cities, and one of them was Santiago, which is now Chile's capital and largest city. In 1553, the Native Americans led several successful revolts against the Spanish conquerors. So back then, they killed Valdivia and devastated most of the cities he founded. This led to nearly 100 years of warfare. Eventually, the Spanish dominated, but even then, strife and conflicts continued for many more years. Independence from Spain. In 1808, when Spain was seized by Napoleon, the Chileans saw an opportunity to gain independence. So on September 18, 1810, Chile declared independence, beginning a long war. Eventually, Chile was able to defeat Spain, and Bernardo O'Higgins became Chile's first leader. Despite finally winning its independence, Chile suffered several changes of government. Many of these changes were caused by coups by the military and civil wars, though not as severe as other Latin American countries. Despite this problem, the government enacted many changes that have led Chile to become the most economically developed country in South America. In 1879, the Chilean military seized the Bolivian port of Antofagasta, claiming that the land was theirs. This led to a war with Bolivia and its ally Peru. But Chile came out victorious, giving it control over considerable territory and several of the world's biggest nitrate and copper mines. Salvador Allende Gossens, a Marxist, was elected president in 1970, making Chile the first country to vote in communism. This move led to political and economic disaster. The unrest caused by his rule, which was further aggravated by the US government, eventually led to a military takeover of the government. Pinochet regime. On September 11, 1973, Augusto Pinochet Ugarte became the dictator of Chile. Pinochet immediately suspended the constitution, enforced strict censorship, banned all political parties, and dissolved Congress. During his time as leader, the country was kept in state of emergency, and the military tightly controlled the people. Thousands were arrested, executed, exiled, or kept in the prisons, while many people simply disappeared. But the Pinochet government helped the struggling Chilean economy and improved education, giving Chile one of the highest literacy rates in Latin America. Due to this, the people of Chile are very divided in their opinions about his rule. So in 1989, Pinochet allowed the people to vote in a new president and returned the government back to the people. Current history. Chile now is a republic with a stable government, economy, and democracy also. Today, poverty in Chile is declining rapidly, and the country is much more prosperous than before. And the current president of Chile is Gabriel Boric Font, who was born in Punta Arenas on February 11th, 1986. Gabriel Boric Font is the president who was elected at a young age, and now he led Chile with around 19 million people under his government. So as we know, every country have their own flags. So same as Chile flag consists of 3 colors, and there's stars in their flag. The star is seen as a guide on the path of progress and honor, while the blue stands for the sky. The white stripe corresponds to the snow of the Andes Mountains. The red stripe below reminding citizens of the blood of those who sacrificed themselves for the fatherland. And lastly, the national anthem of Chile. The national anthem of the Republic of Chile, also known as the Canción Nacional de Chile, is the patriotic musical composition that officially represents the country. It was composed by the Spanish maestro Ramón Carnicer and written by the Chilean poet Eusebio Lillo.
Chile is one of the most amazing nature-endowed countries in the world. The South American country is well known for its Atacama Desert, its gorgeous landscape, its intriguing culture, and some of the world's most active volcanoes. There are many fun facts about Chile that makes it an attractive destination. Popularly, it is also known as País de los Poetas, country of poets. Chile sits on the western seaboard of South America and has an approximate population of over 90.5 million people. It is up there with some of the most beautiful countries in the world. It was colonized by Spain and thus a predominantly speaking Spanish country. Chile is famous as one of the few countries with the longest coastline in the world, the driest place on earth, and the place with the largest swimming pool in the world. And now I'm going to provide you some cultural fun fact of Chile that I got from internet. First, Chile's national drink pisco. Despite having super wine production capabilities, one fun fact about Chile is the national drink pisco hardly has wine in it. Pisco sour cocktail is the national drink in Chile. Second, Chile cuisine. Here is a tasty fact about Chilean culture. Traditional Chilean food includes tasty dishes such as curanto, asado, cazuela, and empanadas, among others. What's interesting is the diversity in the ingredients derived from the Quechua Andean cuisine. Third, polite greetings. The people in Chile are very polite, and that is one cultural fact about Chile. Fourth, Chile's UFO explained. Yes, like the Alan Kane UFO, not everyone believes in UFOs, but it's different in Chile. One interesting fact about Chile you probably didn't know is that Chile's government is the only one in the world with an official department strictly dedicated to conducting research into UFOs. Fifth, Chile's potatoes. A cool fact about Chile is that it's the grandfather of potatoes worldwide. Sixth, Chile's Costanera Grand Torre. One surprisingly cool fact about Chile is that it has the tallest building in South America and has 64 floors, and last house the driest desert on earth. The Atacama Desert is the dry desert on earth. Interestingly, some parts of this desert have never registered any rainfall. Traditional Chilean clothing consists of an elaborately decorated silk or wool, chamanto or poncho, a sturdy hat called a chupera, and a feminine, full-sleeved flowered dress. The poncho is unique because it is reversible from dark to light.
Language in Chile. Spanish is the most widely spoken language in Chile. The variant of Spanish spoken in the country is Chilean Spanish. Several other indigenous and immigrant languages are also spoken in the country. For instance, there are native languages of Chile such as Mapudungun, Quechua, Rapanui, Huiliche, Central Aymara, and Kawaiskar. Extinct language of Chile. Several indigenous languages of Chile have become extinct over the years. These include Selknam, Kakanhua, Kunza, and Diaguita. Therefore, foreign languages spoken in Chile there are German. Now is the religion of Chile. First is Catholic or Catholicism in Chile. This religious belief was introduced in Chile by Franciscan and Dominican priests who accompanied colonists from Spain back in the 16th century. Next is Protestant or Protestantism in Chile. Chile is the one of countries in Latin America with the biggest Protestant population. Protestants account for about 15% of the country's population. This religious belief was introduced in the country in the 1840s when the governments of Chile supported the migration of settlers from Germany to the southern Lake region. Then there is Islam in Chile. Most in La Tirana, it is estimated that the total number of Muslims in Chile is about 4,000, which represents 0.1% of the country's population. It is knowledge that in the year 1854, two Turks lived in Chile. They were citizens of the country of the Ottoman Empire. Presently, there are a few Islamic organizations in the country. These include the Muslim Society of Chile and As-Salam's Mosque in Santiago, the Mohammed VI Cultural Center located in Coquimbo, the Bilal Mosque in Aquiqua, the Ahmadiyya Muslims Community Chile, and the Community Islam Sani Chile. The Jewish faith in Chile. The presence of Jewish faith in Chile is as old as the country's history. Over the years, the country has received many groups of Jewish migrants. Presently, the Jewish society in Chile comes from the migrations that happened in 19th and 20th centuries. Hinduism in Chile. This faith was introduced in Chile by a number of Indians who arrived in the country in the 1920. Buddhism in Chile. This religious faith was first introduced to Chile by the Japanese migrants of Brazil coming to the nation. The Buddhist community in Chile is very small, but it has increased a lot from the 1990. Baha'i faith in Chile. This faith began with references to Chile in Baha'i writings in the year 1916, and the first Baha'i visiting in 1919.
Government and political system. How is government in Chile structured? Chile is a representative democratic republic. The president of Chile acts as both the head of state and the head of government. The government itself is a multi-party system that operates like a two-party one. As with many governmental systems, the judiciary branch is independent of the executive and the legislature. Chile is considered to have an imperfect democratic system due to its flawed constitutional basis. The Constitution of Chile was approved in the national plebiscite. The Constitution was approved in September 1980, while the country was in the grip of dictator Augusto Pinochet. The Chilean Nation Congress is composed of the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies. The Congress building is situated in Valparaiso, 87 miles west of Santiago. The Senate comprises 88 elected members representing regions of sub-regions, with senators serving approximately 8 years at a time. The Chamber of Deputies features 120 members, each of whom are elected to serve 4-year terms. The President of Chile acts as the head of state and the head of government. He or she is one of the most prominent political figures in Chile and is responsible for running the government and the state administration. Characteristic and recent developments of the political system. The political system is a presidential republic. The most recent amendments to the Constitution go back to November 1991. Executive power is vested in the president, who's elected by universal suffrage. The first presidential election by universal suffrage after the coup of 1973 were held in 1989. Chile is administratively divided into 13 regions, including the capital and the seat of government, Santiago.
The regions are divided into 40 provinces. The regions are governed by governors. The leaders and the provincial administrators are appointed by the president. The provinces are divided into municipalities headed by mayors elected for 4 years by universal suffrage. Following the 1970 coup, all the political activity was suspended and then banned in 1977. Political parties were legalized again in 1987. At the legislative election of 1993, the center-left parties, especially the Christian Democratic Party, Socialist Party, and the Party for Democracy, grouped under the Consultation for Democracy umbrella, were victorious. However, the Consultation, which has 70 of the 120 seats in the House of Deputies, has only 21 senators, leaving this body to be dominated by the center-right party, the National Renewal, which thus has veto power of the reforms supported by the Consultation, especially institutional reform.
Education system in Chile. Point 1. Primary education. In Chile, education is divided into preschool, primary, secondary, and tertiary education. The middle two phases are mandatory and up to 90% of costs are covered by the state. These are paid directly to the school concerned, which is likely to be owned by the municipality and based on individual pupil attention. And point 2, following the period, teenage pupil proceed directly to enseñanza media secondary school, which they attend through to age 18. Grades 9 and 10 are standardized. From grade 11 through the Carrera Medio, students may choose to focus more on science or humanities. In this case, either math, physics, biology, chemistry, or literature, philosophy, history, respectively, receive great attention. Especially in poorer areas, students may also receive training in practical subjects such as electricity, mechanic, or metal assembly. It is hoped that they may thereby be able to get better jobs after school and perhaps even self-fund time leave through university later. Entry point, vocational education. Alternatively, students may prefer to proceed to a technical secondary school instead. Following the same two initial years of education, they can elect to go on industrial, commercial, technical, or mixed training. This equips them for a job for life if they work well. And the last point, tertiary education. There are 25 state universities and over 50 private ones in Chile. The standard of the more recent privately funded ones are report Chile education before the entrance criteria for all remains the same and is administered by a council of rectors or consejo de rectors. These include mandatory examination in math and language, as well as other course-specific ones. A student's school performance is merged with the result to obtain a final ranking.
There are four sector relationships between Chile and Indonesia. First, about political relationship. Chile, like Indonesia, adheres to an attitude of respect for state sovereignty and applicable international law and always maintains a mutually beneficial relationship. Bilateral relations between Indonesia and Chile are very good, starting with the opening of consular relations in 1964 and diplomatic relations officially starting in September 1965. The Indonesian embassy in Santiago, Chile was opened in 1991. The good relation between the two countries were also demonstrated through a number of activities including the state visit of the President of the Republic of Chile, Michelle Bachelet, to Indonesia 11 to 12 of May 2017, and interaction between relevant authorities of the two countries at a high level. Next, about sector economic relationship. Chile builds an identity as a country that consistently supports, maintains an open, rules-based, and non-discriminatory trading system. Its economy is solid and stable, which is reflected in the strong reputation of financial institutions and the high value of foreign trade. Indonesian products that are mostly exported to Chile are shoes, clothing, cars, motorcycle, motor vehicle parts and components, electronic equipment, furniture, jelly, and spices. Next, about sector social-cultural relationship. Relations between Indonesia and Chile have increased and strengthened since the Indonesia Embassy was opened in 1991. Some of the program activities offered by the government of Indonesia to increase and strengthen awareness of relations between Indonesia and Chile are the awarding of Dharma Siswa Scholarship, Developing Countries Partnership or KNB Scholarship, and Indonesian Arts and Language Culture BSBI Scholarship. In particular, the Indonesia Embassy in Santiago conducted cultural activities to strengthen relations through several program activities, such as teaching Indonesian dance and teaching Indonesian at basic and advanced levels. Last, about Indonesia-Chile bilateral relations. Still within the framework of the RE-Chile Foreign Minister meeting, for post-pandemic economic recovery, the two foreign ministers agreed to increase trade and investment. The two of them saw the need to explore further the potential for the Indonesia-Chile Comprehensive Economic Partnership (ICCPA) treatment. Here are some benefits of the entire relationship between Indonesia and Chile. First, the existence of ICCPA can increase market access for Indonesia's main export products. Second, industries in Indonesia can add sources of raw materials with a 0% tariff. Third, Chile can be used as a hub for Indonesian export products. Fourth, the cooperation established with Chile covers a wide range of fields, including trade and investment promotion and facilitation, science, research and development, agriculture, fishery, marine and aquaculture products, SMEs, tourism, logistics and international transportation, as well as information and communication technology, so that it can support Indonesian export diversification.